Hello and welcome. My name is Arity Green and this is Wise Woman Television, and today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on what's next in love. This is the relationship edition. If you identify as a single person, you'll want to check out the What's Next in Love Singles Edition, which will be posted in tandem at least within a couple of days of this reading. So I first want to welcome you here. Thank you for being here. If you find that this reading resonates for you, I encourage you to like, to subscribe, to press the bell icon so that way you are notified every single time a video pops up. I also want to let you know that I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching programs to support you in your life, in your work, and on your spiritual path. I have an extraordinary program out right now, Spirit Woman. It's a year-long coaching community to nurture your true nature and your highest potential. You can find out those details below as well as at aritygreen.com/spiritwoman. So without further ado, I will place a picture up of your 3 card piles now. All right, so card pile 1. What's next in love, relationship edition. Okay, so you might be going through a rough patch with your significant other at this time. At least a dip, a valley. We kind of have the wet and dry seasons, the rainy and summer seasons, or whatever. We have the seasons of our lives as well as the seasons out in nature and in our relationships. You guys might be going through a dry spell or through a difficult or darker period in your relationship. Please know that this is for your growth and for your evolution, and that both of your souls have decided to do this and to do so and to do this work together. This is a real true partnership I'm feeling between the two of you, a very soul-based, mature, connected relationship that has really beautiful roots and has a really strong foundation of goodness toward each other, and it just feels like a very healthy, solid, strong, stable, and loving relationship and connection that can and will serve both of you, your highest good, your highest outcomes, your highest vision and potential, to be able to build together, build a life together, quality of life together. I see a lot of potential here. Some of you already know that. Some of you are already on your way. Some of you are like, breath of relief, and I did kind of know that, right? You're saying that to yourself. Maybe some of you didn't, but this is all that's here for you. This is a really beautiful, healthy relationship with a very strong foundation, and you're going through a rough patch. Now, it's not saying exactly what that rough patch is. We might get into more of it as we go, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that as we speak. But what I'm feeling is what's coming up now is relevant to what needs to be worked out through each of you individually. And when you come together collectively, you're able to support each other through the growth period and the growing pains of really just coming to terms with your own shit, okay? So it's like each of you are sort of coming to terms with and facing and confronting your own shit, but you're seeing it within the world stage of your relationship. So that's just a mirror for you right now, but please know whatever you're moving through as a couple, as a partnership, really has to do with each of your own human/soul's evolution, and it's relevant to the partnership in the sense that these two souls have joined together in order to bring about this healing, to bring about this evolution, to sort of pull those energies up and out, pull everything up to the surface, take everything, those sunken ships that were submerged for eons, to bring them up to the light of day, to the light of air. So this relationship has agreed to be the space, the container for that healing, for that growth, for that evolution. But ultimately, whatever you're thinking is about the other person is really about you. And I know we hear that a lot, and I don't always believe that. I am very grounded, real, practical when it comes to my awareness, my orientation on this planet. I very much believe there is a reality for toxic behavior and for abuse and violence and victimization. Those are real and valid experiences, but that's not what's happening here. I can feel a very strong, healthy, loving foundation here. And really, this is about you guys pushing through, persevering to the end to bring forth the highest outcome for both of you individually and together as a partnership, as a collective, and even as a family. I love this card for this relationship. Defend to the end the worthwhile. This is worth it. This is worth waiting for. This is worth pushing through for. This is worth persevering and doing the individual work that's being required, that's happening through this relationship, through this container right now for each of you to, individually, but through the container of the relationship. This is worth it. This is what you came here for, and you're going to do this healing work together. I think this is a conscious and healthy partnership where both parties will support the other in moving through any kind of challenges or navigating through any kind of difficult or murky or muddy waters. This feels like two people who can and will support each other. Now, I feel like there are parts of you For each of you where maybe you're not yet willing to go there with a partner or really share like very vulnerably or open up at your deepest core level, that's okay. You don't have to, although it may come to that at some point. I'm just giving notice of that because it became very clear, and I wanted to share that in case it was relevant and it landed for some of you. With that said, this is a safe place for the deepest, most vulnerable parts of you to come forward. You know, whether it be your fears or your deepest, darkest secrets or your deepest, darkest longings and vulnerabilities, insecurities, whatever it is, those things are held safely in this space, in this container between the two of you. So I do want to make that clear and make that known, because I think it's so important that we recognize when we're in a safe space and when we're not. And this is a safe space for the both of you. You guys are both being nurtured through each other. Your souls came to the other soul in order to bring about the best outcomes for each of you individually and collectively, but it just feels like it's like each of your souls knew that in coming together, you would be able to do the greater healing and growth work for yourself through this partnership, this vessel / container. Because what's happening here is maybe in your relationship, again, there's this dry spell, or there's this lack of passion and romance, lack of connection. Perhaps there's just, you're not seeing eye to eye. Isn't there a saying about like two sailboats, you know, opposite ways in the water? There's a way better saying than that, but it's just like kind of sailboats in the wind, maybe not on the same page, maybe not in perfect alignment. And you guys are just kind of working out your own shit within this relationship. So please know, whatever you're moving through is yours, and whatever they are moving through is theirs. You guys might be seeing it in front of you within the context of your relationship, but it's ultimately, in this case, about you, at least for this reading, at least for card pile 1, okay? Could be different, right? There are times where someone else is victimizing and abusing someone, and if that was the case and you were here, which is not, because card pile 1, that's not here, it would be very clear that there was an issue here and you needed to leave, or that, you know, you're not responsible for their behavior. In this case, you guys are both bringing out each other's, so you guys are both acting as a catalyst or a trigger for each other's awakening, activations, and of course, greater healing, okay? So there's some parts of you that need to be nurtured, that need to be strengthened. These could be your inner child parts of you that, you know, haven't been given full expression or haven't been quote unquote healed. Whatever it is, there's parts of you or aspects of you that are coming forward now to be strengthened, to be revealed, to be known. There's parts of you, again, those deeper insecurities and vulnerabilities that are trying to come up for air and get some voice. And so whatever it is that's happening for you uniquely, please recognize this is a deeper healing and growth period or growth spurt for you. And you guys are both going to be seeing the growing pains within the container of your relationship, but it's ultimately, again, about each of you individually. And your souls knew this and brought you together for this, knowing this would happen, knowing that at some point you'd have to look at yourselves and say, what's missing, or is there more to life, or what's going on here, or what do I need to do to fix this? But it's about you, and there's some deeper healing, growth, and evolution that's happening for each of you individually. They're going to make this relationship even better, you know, even stronger, healthier, more loving, and it's going to, again, continue to serve each of you individually and together. Yeah, so again, ongoing self-discovery with the both of you, even each other, both of you sort of coming together and deciding, what do you want? You know, what can you build? What vision do you want to move toward? And again, maybe you're not seeing eye to eye 100% on each of these areas. So there's a lot of self-discovery happening here, a lot of venturing out and seeing, you know, what are you curious about? What are you curious about? You're dipping your toe in the water over here. I'm looking at this. You guys are both going through some self-discovery, some inner healing and growth and evolution. And so it's allowing that, right? Part of the work, of course, is allowing that journeying. There is this song that's like, by Jason Mraz, and he talks about this, right? And I don't remember the words. Maybe it'll come to me as we are sitting here and doing this reading, and like we continue. But there's that song. He's like, where he kind of says you can go out to do your searching or you're navigating, and he's like, and then you can come back to me. You guys will have to look up navigating lyrics, Jason Mraz, and see what the song is. Maybe I'll post it into the lyrics, but into the comments. But essentially, you guys are moving through a period of, you know, what do I want? Is this all I want? Is there more to life? Is there more to me? You know, how do I want to be self-expressed? What do I really want to contribute in this world? How do I want to contribite to this family? How do I want to show up in this family? How do I want my partner to show up in this family? Do they want me to show up in a certain way? Are we showing up one way in one domain and in another area, and so on and so forth? And how is it all landing? And do we like this? And is it an alignment for me, for us, for this relationship, for this family? Just a lot of disjointed, like working together, trying to find your like greased wheel momentum again that maybe you had at one point, but again are now sort of doing through your own growth work and your own individual healing and evolution, that once things are ironed out within each of you and you have your own awareness around what that alignment looks like for you, what that vision looks like for you, the outcome that you're looking for, wanting to create in this life, then you guys will rejoin forces. Again, there is some kind of inspiration happening here. You're, again, that self-discovery, that inner journeying. It's so interesting how similar these cards are. Look at that. The colors, the layout. These are from 2 different decks. And so recognizing, what do I want? What is an alignment for me? What does my soul want? What did I come here for? What's most fulfilling for me? You guys are both just doing some discovery work on your own and then sort of coming together, but maybe for a little while haven't met eye to eye or haven't had that same kind of connection, passion, romance, partnership, or something like that. But please know that foundation is already there. It's been nurtured, well cultivated, well supported. It's there waiting for the both of you when you need it, but it doesn't mean that you guys will always see eye to eye or be in 100% agreement or be able to be all that you are or maybe were at one time for each other right now, as you're tending to your own needs and your own journey and your own inner healing and growth and evolution. Yeah, so it looks like some of you have maybe been wrought with some stress, or it could even be guilt, or just you guys could have conflicts or some disagreements or whatever that kind of put a bad taste in your mouth, or maybe give you some questions or curiosities around whether this relationship is truly worth it, or if it's really for you, if you guys are right for each other. Is this the one? Please know this is, again, just part of this deeper inner journeying that both of you are moving through, that it's not a grand reflection of your relationship or the ultimate end-all be-all end game. You guys are just going through this growing period. You're feeling the growing pains. Focus on what is good. Focus on what is there. Focus on what you are grateful for. Focus on recognizing that this relationship, it really is the foundation for both of your lives, for what you share together, for the vision that you're building, the family that that you have and are creating or are building and cultivating every day together. How does this relationship serve you? Recognizing that it has been the foundation that both of you have rested upon and been able to lean into and rest in for however long you've been together. This partnership has been a force in each of your lives, has been a beautiful source of love, of light, of vitality, of strength, of nurturing, of support, and so much more for the both of you for the duration of this partnership. So allowing yourself to really focus on the good of this relationship, all the wonderful ways it has added to your life, and all the things it has done for you. And in the meantime, while all this other inner journeying happens, allowing that to happen, recognizing it for what it is, knowing that this is a part of both of your journeys individually, and that this relationship is acting as a really safe container for a lot of this healing to happen. Know that if this was not a safe relationship, if it was not a healthy relationship, it would be very difficult to be able to navigate this healing and growth work together. If it was if it was a problematic relationship or a toxic, volatile, abusive relationship, remember, you guys are your final authority, so please don't trust me to decide if it's abusive. That's up to you. But I'm saying, if it was abusive, if it was toxic, more than likely you'd be getting triggered nonstop, but you wouldn't be able to process or heal anything and actually integrate or grow at all, because it would just be a completely unsafe walking through a landmine scenario. No one can grow in that. They're just being traumatized constantly and re-traumatized. Does nothing for the human. They need to find a safe space. You guys have a safe haven. You have a safe sanctuary. Do the work of your own. Bring yourself individually back to life. Okay, where you're going, what you want, what makes you tick, what moves you, what inspires you, all of that stuff, getting that straight and in alignment in your own life, then coming back together. And it's not just direction and, the compass, self-discovery, right? This was also some healing work, some shadows of the subconscious, all of that stuff was coming up too. There's just this really beautiful evolution happening. And that any kind of waves that you have, it might rock your boat, but it's not going to tip your boat. You guys are both safe. You guys are both sound. You guys do very well together, and you will certainly come out the other side of this as actually better people, if we want to even say that there is such a thing, but also a stronger, healthier, more loving partnership. So that's your reading card pile 1. If this resonates for you, I encourage you to share your feedback below. I'd love to hear from you. Do like and subscribe. Press the bell icon so that way you get a notification every single time a video pops up. Of course, I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching programs. Right now, I have an incredible program out right now. It's called, I think I said right now twice, but you get it, Spirit Woman. You can check out the details below or visit aritygreen.com/spiritwoman. Okay, card pile 2. This is your reading on What's Next in Love, the relationship edition. All right, so you guys might be going through a rough patch in your relationship. This was the same thing for card pile 1, but this one feels different, looks very different. And maybe that's why you're here on this reading, to get some clarity and get some understanding. We'll get some deeper awareness as we move through the layers of the reading here. But this might be a bumpy ride or a bumpy road for you right now. And I feel like it has something to do with attachments. This could be going both ways. But since you're the one who's watching, you might be attached to the way that they do things, the way that they don't do things, the way that they show up, the way that they don't show up. They do this wrong, or they don't do this right, or they can't meet your needs. You know, that's what I mean by attachment, meaning there might be some codependency here in terms of you guys both perhaps even over-relying on the other to fulfill a need, or to meet a need, or to do a thing, or to show up in a certain way. You might be exploring through the stress that's happening in your relationship. It's manifesting as stress, right? Bumpy road, bumpy ride. Maybe it feels a little edgy, feels a little like spiny, it doesn't feel that great right now. And maybe again, conflict or disagreement, or someone has a bad attitude, or someone's acting pretty sour, those kinds of things, or, verbal brawls, however it unfolds for you. Now, I will say, even for both card pile 1, card pile 2, I don't get any toxic, abusive, volatile, or any concerning energies that would be like, stop, halt. Sometimes we get that, but that's not the case today so far. What I'm seeing is just like stress, kind of everyday routine stress that we experience as humans, but happening within the context of your relationship. Things feel a little bit, again, I get it, like spiny, edgy. It just doesn't feel like really like a well-greased wheel where it's like really groovy and easy and graceful with each other. A little bit of a bumpy ride right now, but this is because it's manifesting as that, but ultimately it has something to do with both of you, or you who's watching, but I think it's both, your codependency, attaching your needs or your projections to this person and expecting them to meet a particular need or standard or expectation that they might not even be aware of, or might not even agree to meeting, right? So when we go into a relationship with people, sometimes we're very communicative and we're very explicit. These are my needs. These are my wants. These are my non-negotiables. This is what I refuse to accept. This is what I'm willing to be flexible on, right? And some of us don't even have an awareness of what those quote-unquote rules are for ourselves. But some of us know, and we express that. And there are conversations. Sometimes we enter into partnership where neither individual has any clue for themselves, and they certainly don't explicitly communicate it. And maybe the partner doesn't consent. The other person doesn't have to do this and do that, or show up this way, or be flexible here. They may not be on the same page as you in all these areas or domains. And this doesn't mean that anyone's wrong or anyone's bad or anyone's right. This just means that both of you might be experiencing some kind of codependency such that you're over-relying on the other party to show up a certain way, to meet a certain need, standard, or expectation that really isn't about them or for them to fulfill. This one's really on you. So if it's about them too, meaning both of you guys are doing this, their issues would be on them, your issues would be on you, and both of y'all kind of need to call back your projections and be like, okay, what can I own? What are some ways I can take care of myself or take care of this myself? What things are non-negotiable for me and I'm not willing to be flexible on? What things am I willing to be flexible on? Maybe they need to do the same thing, so you both have some clarity, can get on the same page and work toward greater alignment with each other, such that you're both able to meet each other's needs that can sustain the partnership, but not in such a way where it's totally imbalanced and one person's doing all the giving, the other person's doing all the taking, or this person's doing, where everything's imbalanced, and or someone's exerting a lot of pressure, micromanagement, or control on one party, or the other party is lax and withdrawing and either cold or distant. So it's like you have all this pendulum swinging back and forth. Not all of these have to match up to you individually as a person who's watching. You might find that one or a couple of these land for you. But the point is, you're reaching some like edgy stuff with this person. It really has to do with both of you guys' projections, both of your attachments, expectations, standards, so on and so forth. You don't even know yet, or perhaps you haven't had the conversation. Does this person consent? Do they want to meet those standards and expectations, right? The same thing for you. Are you wanting to meet their standards and expectations? Is there a willingness to work together, to do different, to make some changes together, to transform this relationship? Those are the questions that need to be asked. Now, you guys are both being asked to sort of step out of your mind, right? Pull those projections back, those expectations and standards back, and really connect to your beating heart, asking the deeper questions like, is this relationship ultimately fulfilling for me? Is this relationship what I truly need and want? Are we aligned toward our greater vision? Is there common ground between us? Is there a strong foundation here? Can we support each other healthily and create a safe space for each of our growth and healing together and separately? So those are the deeper questions you need to be asking, as opposed to these kind of superficial questions that can cause stress or strife or disagreement or argument and things like that, or again, where someone's tugging, someone's pushing, someone's pulling, it's this, that, and the other, the power struggles, all that stuff. Owning your shit, going into your heart, and seeing what's real and true. That's number one. It doesn't mean that some of these things don't need to be ironed out at the surface. It just means that if you're not in a space of truth and of ownership and of self-responsibility and of love, you're not going to make any headway or progress here together. You're just not. It's going to be very difficult for you to be able to move into common ground or clearer ground or whatever if you're still kind of talking about the superficial issues from a heady place of no, it's you, no, it's your problem, no, it's your problem, no, it's your problem, no, if you guys are both going back and forth, you're not going to get anywhere. It's really about what are your deeper needs and yearnings, and how can you connect with those and then share those with your partner and them. This is really about my inner child and really needing to be nurtured and supported because I wasn't as a child, right? As opposed to poking and prodding the bear, or maybe for them it's when I really connect, it's for me, I like having some kind of space or distance, and I can get really stressed if I'm always in the go and I just really need 15 minutes to myself, right? So we really start connecting with the heart. We're not speaking from projection and superficiality and blame and shame and all that stuff, back and forth power struggle. We're speaking from truth, because again, right? And so we're getting this, a lot of emotional intensity, a lot of projection, a lot of blame, a lot of no, you do this, or 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 whatever. And it doesn't mean that you guys are like volatile and insane, and like I'm not getting that kind of vibe at all, where things are like hostile and aggressive and violent. That might be the case for some of you, and perhaps it doesn't feel like it's abusive, or it just feels like some of you can kind of lose control of your emotions. Maybe it's a fire sign or something. All of that to say, though, when you really connect in and tap in, there's some deeper needs and yearnings that need to be attended to by you first and foremost. You need to get real with you, see where you stand, and they need to get real with them. And what is it you guys really need? What are you really saying? What is this actually about? Because it's not about the dishes being done or the foot not being rubbed. You know what I'm saying? It's not these superficial kind of stress issues where you kind of bicker about these everyday things. There's some deeper stuff that's happening underneath the surface, and that's the part that needs to be explored for this relationship to evolve to the next level. Yeah, so what's happening? A transformation in your relationship. And I do believe if you guys navigate this successfully, you guys have an opportunity here. Some of you, I feel like, are sort of maybe throwing in the towel, or considering throwing in the towel, or considering taking a break. Not all of you, it feels like 50-50, but some of you are like, I just don't know if I can do this. Have you done the deeper work? That's my first question. Before you want to walk away, now, here's the thing. Don't listen to Arity Green, the reader on YouTube, about what to do with your life. You're your final authority. You have to be the one to make this decision, and please make a smart one for yourself. Arity doesn't make that decision. However, since I am here and I'm sharing what's here, I would ask yourself before you dip out of this relationship for good, because there is potential here. I would ask if you guys have taken a good look at the deeper issues. Are you just looking at the surface level issues and kind of pointing fingers at each other, the pot calling the kettle black? Or have you guys really done some deep diving together to really navigate what's actually happening underneath the surface at the deeper level, in terms of what you guys both really need and want? We're talking like inner child work and like deeper subconscious stuff and stuff that you've carried on from past relationships and fears and self-sabotage and stuff from childhood and dysfunction. You guys might have brought some of that stuff, or at least a flavor of it, into your current relationship. And if you haven't navigated it for yourself, it's going to be really hard to navigate that within the context of a relationship. So both of y'all got to be looking at yourself, seeing what's there, going deeper, so that way you can come to this sort of clearing or clean place within yourself, so you have to be there before you can even go to your partner, for your partner to meet you there, right? Both of you guys have to be willing to go deep. Now, have you or have you not? And if you haven't, you might want to consider doing that before you leave this relationship, for those of you who have considered it and are honest with yourself about having considered it. For the rest of you, again, your relationship's going through a deeper transformation to bring you to a deeper level of intimacy. This is intimacy, going deeper, going into more vulnerability, going into those deeper insecurities, kind of freeing out and liberating some of that stuff. Taking a look, going down the rabbit hole together. All that stuff is actually deeper intimacy, and you guys are like kind of pulling away for some of that is a fear, right? Fear of intimacy, fear of going deeper, fear of connecting in that way. It's easier just to tap out when things get a little bit rocky as opposed to see it through and work together. Sometimes relationships cannot see it through. There has to be two parties who are willing to do the deeper work. If the other person isn't, this might not be it for you. This might not be the relationship for you. But it feels like many of you have this potential. There's a very clear possibility for this to work out if you guys can navigate this and do so together and get on the same page, having connected to your heart more deeply than the superficial, stressful stuff of every day. If you guys can get to the deeper level and the heart of this, I think that you guys will come out the other side and that you'll come through successfully. Now, we are getting trust yourself. So as I said earlier, whatever it is that you're sort of inkling toward or considering or sort of mulling over, that's probably the answer. That's probably what you need to do or where you need to go. But I do think there's some deeper work here and deeper exploration in order to be able to sort of step into the next level. And if neither of you or one of you aren't willing to do that, this relationship might not work out as a result. Yeah. So look what's showing here. If you guys can make it through this, which is, there's the path of least resistance, which is avoiding it and cutting our losses and dipping out, right? And then there's the work of, or the path of moving through it. The way out is through, working through it together, ironing out those kinks, again, going deeper, doing the deeper work together. If you need to get a therapist, a coach, whatever you got to do, if you desire to be able to navigate these hurdles together, because look what happens, a rebirth for the both of you. A renewal, a reinvigoration of your relationship, new birth, new chapter, next chapter, new phase. This is a deeper level of intimacy, but it also feels fresh and it feels renewing and it feels good. It feels alive. It feels well. It feels full of life and vitality. You guys might have a burst of passion and romance again, really come into communion and connection again, really find renewed gratitude and appreciation for each other, seeing each other with new eyes, with a fresh mindset. Kind of the way that you did when you first met each other, when the spark was hot, right? That kind of stuff. You might find that comes about as a result of this deeper work, but it's navigating those deeper valleys to then go to the mountaintops again. So for card pile 2, what's going on with you is just a stressful time that has proven to be relatively challenging in your relationship, but ultimately this is about the two of you individually and diving into or going more deep with your own shit and working together from the heart as to what you guys really need and what it is that's really happening here at a deeper level. So you're able to come into a place of greater intimacy together. Through this transformation, you come out the other side with a really beautiful, clean slate and the opportunity for new growth, for fertile ground, and for new things to come. So that's your reading, card pile 2. If this resonates for you, I encourage you to subscribe. Also press the bell icon. That way you get notifications every single time a video pops up. I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching programs. Spirit Woman is enrolling now. It's a year-long coaching community to nurture your true nature and your highest potential. You can check out those details below or at aritygreen.com/spiritwoman. Okay, card pile 3. What's next in love, the relationship edition? Okay, so I actually feel like, even though you guys are on the relationship edition, it feels like some of you guys have just stepped into a relationship. You've gone from singledom to a new relationship or a new partnership. I also feel like some of you are recently single. And I know this is a relationships reading, so I don't know why anyone would be here if that's the case, but the energy is coming through, so I'm sharing it. Maybe you still feel kind of tied or connected to that person in some way, so you still feel yourself kind of partnered or maybe wondering, even though you're recently single. Some of you might have recently been through separation or a divorce, but you sort of still feel connected or sort of contracted to that person in some way. But again, some of you have just entered into a relationship for the first time. Now, I do feel we will get more clarity as we go, as always, to see, what more wants to come through, and we can get more information around each of those scenarios to see, what this really means. But whichever way, both of you guys you're entering, whoever's listening, whichever version you are, you're entering a new chapter, a new phase. So a lot of you guys are feeling, I feel like for a lot of you, it's just like a new beginning, a brand new start, a little bit apprehensive, a little bit excited, a little bit unsure. It's like the baby deer who's like finding its legs for the first time. After mama gives birth to the baby deer, it's kind of just finding itself, and it's a little bit thrilled, it's a little bit excited, it's kind of finding its way, but it's still a little reluctant, a little apprehensive, a little unsure, a little insecure, but it's excited, and it wants to check this out and check that out. And so whichever way you are, single moving into partnership, or partnership moving into singledom, this is new for you. So let me show you guys the cards here. You can see, right? Single to partnership or partnership to single. I'm seeing both as possibilities or potentials here. Sometimes as we go through the reading, we find that there's a majority energy there, so we'll do that. But that's what's happening for you right now. Okay. So I feel like some of you in some ways maybe even are questioning your decision, whichever way that you are either stepping into relationship or stepping out of relationship, you're sort of wondering, did I make the right choice, right? You got a lot of voices in your head, the devil and angel on your shoulder. Is this the right move? Is this the ideal move? Is this person the one? Are they not the one? Have I made the right choice to move on? Is this going to work out for me? Is everything good? You can see this woman, there's all these different voices around her and all these different ideas and thoughts and mental trails. And so you might be going through that sort of mental chatter or having that mental dialogue with yourself. Just clean up the vision here, yeah. Having that mental dialogue with yourself. The lighting is terrible, by the way, card pile 3. I do have a ring light that I have not yet even set up, even though I have it. So I will say that, and I do my readings normally during the day, but here we are. Not that you guys even care, I don't think. All of that to say, you're kind of questioning your decision. You're wondering if this is the right choice, again, because you're a little bit insecure, you're a little bit gun shy. Okay, that's really what it is. That's what I'm getting. You're a little bit gun shy, all right? And I think that's natural. This is a new phase, a new chapter, a new era for you, and it can feel a little bit unsettling. And of course you're going to feel unsure of yourself because this is new, but this does feel good in terms of new birth, freshness, this sense of feeling renewed or reinvigorated. There is some kind of sense of aliveness in this change. So I do feel like there is some alignment here, that this was soul guided. I can't say that for sure because I don't know if we've really touched on that 100% and landed that in the reading yet. But what I am finding is that it feels good. It feels like a fresh bloomed flower in the spring sunshine that hasn't fully bloomed but is there and available and ready to bloom. Okay, so when it feels like that, it usually feels pretty good. Okay, so exactly, having faith in the process, really trusting yourself here, being gentle with yourself and letting this pan out, letting this journey unfold, waiting and seeing, right? And what I mean by waiting and seeing is we don't have to actively wait, like holding on tight. I'm waiting and then I'm seeing, and I haven't even opened my eyes. It's like, no. Just live your life, live your life, live with what's here, what's in your moment, follow your present moment, do what's here, involve yourself with what's here, engage yourself with what's here, and slowly and surely you'll come out to greater awareness / clarity with your choice, with your decision. You'll, gain those walking feet. You'll have more sturdiness and steadiness. You'll trust yourself a little bit more. Things will feel more settled and more grounded and more sure. You're going to have to give it that chance to unfold. Let's see here. Yes, again, that aliveness, that feeling of spring, that new birth. Okay, so for some of you, what this means is, I'm getting this for, it's interesting because again, we saw the two different scenarios, but I feel like ultimately it's the same thing. So if you've entered into partnership or relationship recently, it's showing sort of like that springtime vibe that I was getting, even though this show's fall, but that springtime vibe of coming together in union with someone. It shows an equal match. It shows compatibility. This shows, it says friendly, but you can see kind of they're about in the picture, they're about the same height. They have common ground. They're connected. They're well rooted. They're blossoming. There's only good and healthy things happening in this picture, right? They've met their equal. They've met their match. There's compatibility here. There's friendliness, there's good foundation. And so that's what's happening for those of you who have entered into partnership. I do feel like, though, what's interesting, those who are recently single or stepping into singledom, you do eventually find union. I do feel like for some of you, though, a smaller minority or whatever, that all of you ultimately feels like for the most part end up in partnership or in union. But some of you will be going through a healing period of developing this sort of inner union with yourself first, where you're really connected with yourself, getting to know yourself again, what you want, who you are, what life is like in this version of your life, in this chapter, what it's like being on your own and doing your own thing. Again, that fresh birth, like spring, trying out something new, growing your own legs. So that could be like union with self, but ultimately it feels like for all of you, whichever path you go, that you do find union with someone else. And this turns out to be a great blessing. This turns out to be a really worthwhile and meaningful rebirth for you. It feels well-intended, it feels pure, and it feels like it was all meant to be. It was all meant to be. Okay, So the next cards coming through here, we have big, bold vision. So it feels like for those of you who have a vision for your life or an idea of how you want things to go, the kind of person you want to be with, or the kinds of things you want to create, or the outcomes or results you want to create in your life, it feels like whatever you did with this decision, whether you left a relationship or you've entered it, you've now entered into the arena, like the ring, right? You can't really box if you haven't entered the ring. By making this recent choice, whatever that was for you, you've entered the ring. You've made things possible for yourself. You've really stepped into the conditions or like the circumstances or whatever that ultimately bring about this greater manifestation or realization of what it is that you want, okay? And one way or another, you, because of that recent decision, whether it was you going into partnership or going into singledom, you're able to manifest whatever it is you ultimately wanted for yourself. It's like this is the next step that leads you to where you want to go. So again, trusting that decision that you made that brings about this rebirth, that brings about that sort of revitalization or renewal or whatever it is that you feel inside of you, that then leads to these other experiences like union with self, union with other, and creating that big vision. Now there are two cards here I want to sit with for a moment, so I'm going to do that to see what else wants to come through, and then we'll finish up your reading. Just give me one moment. Okay, so there's not much more than what we touched on before, but I will elaborate just a bit here. So one of the things is, as a result of coming into partnership or stepping away from that partnership, whichever side of the coin that you were on, you have now opened up greater possibilities for yourself, which I think makes sense with the energy of spring, with the energy of renewal, of rebirth. You've availed yourself to more possibilities, to greater potentials for yourself that's then able to support you to bring about the greater vision for your life, what you want to create your life, what you want to build in your life, what you'd like to have, whether it's a partnership or whether it's something in your career, your life's work, your life's path, but there's something that you want for yourself that you're able to get a little bit closer to and be more in alignment with as a result of this choice. Again, I'm getting that whole trusting in yourself and having faith in the process, because again, you might be questioning yourself, you might be apprehensive, you might be reluctant, you might be unsure, but trusting that the path is going to unfold moment by moment by moment, and that it's getting you right where you need to be, and that there is this greater clarity and certainty that arises as you continue on this path that then feels lighter for you or clearer for you, to where you're not questioning your decision or whatever. Again, this is all good energy so far. The only card that I didn't 100% understand quite yet, and maybe it's because, so I'm just going to share it, and maybe each of you will have an idea for yourself in terms of what this means for you. But this came up with big, bold vision. And so what came to me though, which is what I'll share, but then you can also take your own meanings from it, is that in some ways you might feel like this decision that you've made, whether going to singledom or partnership, has sort of compromised your vision or changed it, or maybe you're unsure if it changed it or if it's going to make it worse or it's going to make it better or whatever. And I feel like the reading is saying, no, this is a good change. It's opening possibility. It's opening potential. Like, this is what you want. This is the right choice. Because again, we saw your projections earlier, your thoughts, your ideas, your mental dialogue, your commentary, you're unsure, you're apprehensive, kind of learning your legs as a baby deer. You're seeing like, oh, will this change my life path? You know, am I not going to be able to find a partner? Am I not going to be able to have a child or build a family? Maybe it's thrown that off. Or then you're asking, well, gosh, I've left that partner. I'm not going to find financial stability again. Or maybe you've joined partnership and, oh, are they going to take me from my path? And I've really worked so hard in my career. And what if I end up having a child or something? And then now, you know, my path is thrown off and everything I've worked for. You see what I'm saying? How whatever your version of that story is, where you feel like this recent decision could have made it worse, or is this the right decision? Was this right for me? Is this going to make an impact or be beneficial to me, or is it not? Like those kinds of questions. You know, that all sounds like mental energy and stuff from the mind, lack of certainty, doubt, all of that. But remember, you were told faith in the process, trusting where you're going, trusting the unfolding, and ultimately there is a favorable outcome. There's a favorable outcome, as well as an opening up of potentials and possibilities. By doing whatever you did, you've actually created the space for more goodness, more abundance, more birth, more renewal, more fertile ground for you to be able to create what it is you want. So while you might have some doubts or reluctance or apprehension, it feels like this was a good choice for most of you, if not all. And I will say, obviously, and I said this in the other readings too, that if for any reason this doesn't land, please trust yourself. You are your final authority. You get to decide what is good, bad, ugly, what is toxic, unhealthy, or abusive for you. I didn't get any of that energy here. The only thing that I did get is a little bit of uncertainty energy with this card. And again, I think this is more you thinking that things might not work out for you by this recent decision. It's just like a sliver of a doubt, but it's there, and there's this mental questioning. So that could be in your mind, but it could at times also be a real energy in terms of, you know, asking yourself if this decision, you know, is the right one for you. And that's why I say you have to trust yourself. We have these readings to bring more context, to bring more awareness, to bring greater clarity, to really expand your awareness. But then ultimately you have to be the one to make the choice, the decision, and like decide what's in alignment, and boom, right? And bullseye. That's really going to be up to you. Let's see if there's any final advice for card pile 3. Is there any final advice for card pile 3? Yeah, so some of you, again, you've either left or are entering a partnership. You can see that here. She's making a change. She's stepped out. So she either stepped out of something and into something else, whether it be one way or the other. What are you being called to do? Answer the call, right? Trusting that calling, whether you've moved into partnership or otherwise. Trusting that call. You've answered it. Now keep moving. Keep moving toward the call. And, of course, following your heart's desires. Okay, that's going to be number 1. We get that as a final answer here. Following your heart's desires. That's what it's about, card pile 3. So if you have left this partnership or entered one as a result of your heart's desires, you've made the right choice and you can trust it. You just need to have faith in the process and let it unfold. So card pile 3. If you enjoyed this reading, I encourage you to like, to subscribe. You can press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications anytime a video pops up. Of course, I want to let you know I do offer both personal readings as well as coaching programs. Spirit Woman is enrolling right now. It is a year-long coaching community to nurture your true nature and your highest potential. You can check out those details below or at aritygreen.com/spiritwoman. Thank you, card pile 3.